I'm really sad about this whole thing with Rob Reiner. He's such a famous Hollywood director, a total genius. But this story just got a crazy twist that blew my mind. The famous filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife went through something really shocking right in their own house. Their home was supposed to be the safest place ever. But this wasn't some random mess. It involved someone super close to them. Their own son, Nick Reiner. The guy who made all those amazing movies about love, truth, and family suddenly ended up in a real-life drama that felt like one of his own films. Nick had already talked openly about his tough personal problems, but nobody saw how wild this was going to get. The night before everything went wrong, feelings were already running really high. Now people are looking at Nick's old words about his dad in a completely different way. Investigators are checking out things Nick said about Rob before, and those comments might help explain what really happened that night. The big emotional mess with Rob and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, happened on December 13th, 2025. That night was supposed to be full of music, laughs, and holiday fun. The couple went to a Christmas party at Conan O'Brien's place, and everything looked perfect. Pretty lights, famous people everywhere, and that happy holiday smell in the air. Right now, nobody really doubts that Nick Reiner killed Rob and Michelle by stabbing them. But from what I'm hearing, the defense is going to say not guilty to murder. Not guilty. But even with all the fancy stuff around, something felt wrong. Witnesses said tension suddenly blew up between Rob and Nick. This wasn't just a little family fight. Voices got loud, people started staring, and the fun mood froze right away. Guests said Nick acted strange, with this weird energy nobody could ignore. People whispered that his mood seemed all over the... But here's the twist. Behind that calm voice, Rob had recently told a few close friends something that feels scary now looking back. He quietly said he was actually afraid of his own son. That changes the whole story and puts a dark shadow over what happened next. This wasn't just Rob complaining. It came from real fear. You could hear it in how he talked, like a dad who felt stuck, watching someone he loved slipping away. That quiet worry, the kind that slowly eats at you, got a lot heavier when the Reiners got home later that night. In the early morning of December 14th, something shocking happened inside their Brentwood house, an event that left everyone stunned. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office later said it happened before sunrise, though the exact time wasn't clear at first. But as the day went on, things started making sense. Around 3 p.m., Rob and Michelle's daughter, Romy Reiner, who lived right across the street, started feeling worried because she couldn't reach her parents. The silence felt weird and wrong, and when she went inside their house, she knew right away something was bad. She called for help immediately. Alan Jackson is his lawyer. Let's go back. Alan Jackson used to represent Karen Reed. He's the hottest lawyer in the country right now. He wins his cases. What Alan Jackson is going to do, and I know him well professionally, is look at every mental defense and try them all. The first thing I think he'll do is say, we don't know if he even understands what's going on, so let's have psychiatrists check him. Number one, within minutes, paramedics and LAPD officers got there fast to see what was happening. Both Rob and Michelle were found unconscious, which shocked everyone there. Police started a full investigation right away, treating it as a serious family matter from the beginning. But what really surprised detectives was what didn't see. There were no signs anyone broke in. Every door was locked. Every window was secure. Nothing looked messed up. That changed everything. It meant the person involved didn't need to break in. They were already inside or got let in without question. The thought that the danger came from inside made it feel even scarier. As detectives kept working, they talked to neighbors all around Brentwood. But what they heard was creepy. Not one neighbor heard anything strange that night. No yelling, no alarms, not even a bump. The total quiet around the Reiner house made everything feel eerie, like something awful happened behind those calm walls without anyone knowing. Everyone nearby was left wondering how such a strange thing could happen so quietly. In Brentwood, where sounds travel and fancy security catches tiny movements, that much silence felt almost impossible. Investigators started thinking about what that meant, and the picture looked disturbing. Whoever was in the Reiner house that night knew it really well. It's not just a not guilty verdict. It's not guilty by reason of insanity. There's a difference. When you plead not guilty by insanity, you're saying you're guilty of the crime, but you're not guilty because you didn't understand what you were doing. There's something called the wrong or right test. If you don't know if what you're doing is wrong or right, that could be a full defense. Oh, he understands. Well, he knows he killed mom and dad. He may not, but he may not because, you know why? I'll tell you. I find that so hard. Let me explain why in my world it's not so hard to understand. Every move looked planned, every action careful. There were no signs of panic or mess, no wild chaos, just a creepy kind of calm that only someone who knew the house really well could pull off. As the timeline got clearer, everyone started looking at Nick Reiner. Police reports later showed that Nick left the house soon after the incident, around 4 a.m. on December 14th. Within hours, he checked into the Pierside Hotel in Santa Monica. Hotel staff told police that nothing about him seemed weird. He was calm, polite, normal, like any regular guest. That normal behavior only made things more confusing. How could someone go from such a crazy night to acting totally fine by morning? Detectives couldn't ignore it. The difference between the quiet mess at home and Nick's calm at the hotel raised even more questions. Even his voice sounded relaxed. No shaking, no nerves, no sign anything bad had happened just hours earlier. But when police searched his hotel room after he left, everything changed. They found evidence linked straight to the Reiner house. That discovery turned the whole case upside down. Suddenly, the Pierside Hotel wasn't just a random stop. It became a connection tying Nick directly to what happened in Brentwood, putting him right in the center of the mystery. Even though he checked in, Nick didn't stay long. His time there was short and quiet, almost like he didn't want to be noticed. In just a few hours, he was moving again, leaving as smoothly as he came. Later that afternoon, cameras caught him at a gas station near Exposition Boulevard and Vermont Avenue. According to my psychiatrist, his brain started to change. It changes your personality. You become different. You become less emotional, less empathetic, less sympathetic. Your son changes before your eyes. You don't recognize who that person is. The cameras showed him walking in calmly, getting a drink, paying without any problem, and leaving like everything was normal. No rushing, no panic, no confusion. Nick Reiner looked scarily calm. That calmness stood out against what police now thought happened earlier. The more they watched the video, the creepy, or it got because Nick's every step looked planned, almost too calm for someone in the middle of a huge case. By around 9:15 p.m., police found him near Exposition Park, close to the University of Southern California campus. Several patrol cars showed up in a quick, organized move that surprised people nearby. Red and blue lights filled the night, and the air felt tense. But Nick didn't fight, didn't argue, didn't even speak loudly. He did exactly what they said without any trouble. In minutes, officers had him in custody, calm and quiet, like he knew this was coming. The way he gave up quietly made the mystery even deeper about what really happened that night. By the end of that long night, investigators started putting things together. What they found painted a scary picture. A huge fight, a house wrapped in silence, no break-in, a sudden leaving, and a strange path across Los Angeles. But one big question still hung there. What really happened inside that Brentwood home before it went quiet? That's when the investigation got really complicated. Once the Reiner home was locked down, forensic experts went in to find every hidden clue behind those locked doors. They checked room by room, looking through furniture, hallways, and personal stuff, tried to figure out the missing timeline that no neighbor or witness could explain. To be free. They want him to be free. And who was they? The sister. The sister. It was the one that found the bodies. Every step, they hoped to find the truth the silence had hidden. Soon after, the medical examiner's team did a deep check, looking at the most scientific part of the case, how, and when everything really happened. With no cameras inside, no door alarms, and no time messages, police had to depend only on science. Temperature changes, physical clues, and tiny traces left behind. Every detail counted because the truth was and those small things nobody saw at first. To figure it out, they focused on two main forensic signs. Rigor mortis and lividity. Rigor mortis is when muscles get stiff after death, while lividity shows where blood settles when the heart stops pumping. These natural changes are like a silent clock telling the hidden hours after everything stopped. By looking closely, experts could guess when the terrible moment really happened. The science was clear, but what it meant was scary. Whatever happened in that house didn't happen randomly. It followed a pattern investigators wanted to uncover, no matter how hard the truth was. Using those body clues, the medical examiner made a scary finding. Rob and Michelle Reiner probably lost consciousness in the very early morning, almost 12 hours before anyone found them. That matched what detectives were starting to suspect. Whatever happened in that Brentwood home took place during the quietest part of the night while the whole neighborhood slept, not knowing about the storm nearby. Once the timeline was set, investigators looked hard at the physical evidence. Forensic experts did a detailed check and found something alarming. They called the injuries multiple sharp force wounds, which is a clean way to say harm from a sharp object like a knife or blade. That immediately showed whoever did it was very close to them, close enough for a direct fight face-to-face. This couldn't happen from far away. It was personal, on purpose, and exact. Each move needed focus, and every mark told a story of strong feeling that went way beyond random mess. What shocked investigators most wasn't just the kind of injuries. It was how many there were. However, what a legend and a horrible way to die. So, I haven't looked into the minute-to-minute details yet. We should get into that if you know. But should we just go to the scene? So, basically what happened was the daughter found them at the SC. The parents at the scene called 911. Nick Reiner took off. He left. The repeating marks showed raw emotion, like someone totally lost in the moment. Even experienced experts were shocked looking at the evidence. The whole scene in that quiet Brentwood home said a lot. It wasn't quick and cold. It felt long, emotional, and very personal. The deeper they looked, the clearer it became that this wasn't random. It came from something much more complicated, a mix of feelings and pain nobody in the Reiner family expected. This wasn't one hit and done. It went on for a while, even if just moments. From a science view, that repeating shows someone kept going, not just a quick burst. Investigators didn't guess or let feelings decide. They used only hard facts, and the facts pointed to one scary truth. Someone chose to keep going instead of stopping. Once the forensic report came back, prosecutors made their move. Nick Reiner was officially charged with 2 counts of first-degree unlawful homicide, 1 for each parent. In California, first-degree charges aren't given lightly. They're for cases where police believe the act was on purpose and maybe even planned. The whole investigation changed from questions to a full legal fight that grabbed the whole city. But it didn't stop there. Prosecutors added special circumstances because it involved more than one victim. That's a big step under California law. It makes the case the most serious possible. It's not just a small detail. It changes everything about the trial. Once special circumstances are added, the punishment options get much tougher. If found guilty, Nick Reiner could face life in prison without parole or even the death penalty, depending on what the court decides. The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office said these are the most serious charges they could file. Their statement left no doubt. They trusted the forensic evidence and believed it supported the strongest case possible. In just days, a Hollywood family's heartbreak turned into one of the biggest court cases Los Angeles has seen in years. The quiet tension in Brentwood became a citywide story full of shock, betrayal, and a legal fight that could decide the rest of Nick Reiner's life. By this point, investigators had a clear timeline, a full chain of events, a confirmed cause, and solid proof of how close and long the contact was. Combined with no forced entry and movement inside the home that looked careful and planned, the case now felt almost like a movie in its detail. The mystery that seemed so messy before was now clear and scary. All that was left was to show these findings to a judge, where every shocking detail would come out for everyone to hear. When Nick Reiner first appeared in front of a judge, the courtroom felt charged. The air was thick with tension, the kind where everyone holds their breath. Nick's calm way of standing, his plain clothes, and the quiet around him as he walked and made the whole thing feel unreal, almost spooky. Passports, Bronco, headed to the border, right? He didn't do that. And that's going to be the defense argument that he didn't go to Mexico. He didn't have cash on him, from what I understand. He didn't have passports on him. That's my understanding. So there could still be an argument that he was still under this delusional psychosis or self-psychosis. Doesn't know what's going on. Doesn't know what's going on. And if you go downtown, just by my office in Skid Row, there you'll see a lot of PEO. PLE on San Julian Street. Okay, in downtown, they have schizophrenia, they have mental problems, people talking to themselves, fighting with themselves, yelling at themselves. This wasn't just another court date. It was a huge turning point in a story that already had Los Angeles in shock and sadness. On the morning of December 17th, 2025, Nick was brought into a Los Angeles County courtroom for his first official appearance. Until then, the case was just in files, police reports, prosecutor notes, and short public statements. But now everything moved into full public view. From here on, every word, every paper filed, every look would be part of the official record. Reporters packed the seats, cameras flashed outside, and whispers filled the halls. The Reiner family's tragedy became a full legal show, and everyone knew the next steps could change what people thought about the case. Security was very tight. No cameras inside, no live TV, not even any video allowed. The court made it clear there would be no public footage from the room. Only a small group of chosen reporters, lawyers, and court workers could see it in person. These strict rules were set before Nick even arrived and stayed the whole time. When the big doors opened and Nick Reiner walked in with 2 sheriff's deputies, the mood changed right away. The whole courtroom went dead quiet. Every step sounded loud in the still air. This wasn't just another court step. This was when the Brentwood mystery officially became a high-stakes trial. Every person in the room noticed one big detail. Nick wore a harm prevention smock, a padded outfit used for people watched closely in custody. It stood out right away, a quiet but clear sign of how serious things were. But strangely, nobody talked about it. The judge didn't mention it. The lawyers didn't bring it up. The whole hearing went on like that detail wasn't even there. The quiet around it only made the tension heavier. Then came the part everyone waited for. When the session started, the clerk read the charges out loud. The voice was clear, without feeling, and full of power. Nick Reiner was officially charged with 2 counts of first-degree unlawful homicide. 1 for his father and 1 for his mother. The words came with exact legal language. No extra comments, no drama, just the heavy law filling the room. For a few seconds after, nobody moved. The silence wasn't just quiet. It felt heavy and hard to breathe. It was the exact moment a sad Hollywood family story became a court battle the whole country would watch. When the judge asked if he understood his rights, Nick Reiner answered shortly and steadily. Yes, that one word was the only thing he said the whole time. He didn't enter a plea, didn't ask anything, and didn't show any feeling. He just sat there still, calm, and lost in his own head, like his thoughts were far from the room. After the charges were read, the hearing moved to scheduling. Nick's defense lawyer right away asked to delay the arraignment, wanting more time before any plea. The problem is after these murders, I saw that video. There could be a jury instruction that says flight or consciousness of guilt. Okay, he left the area. So the prosecutor is going to say, you couldn't be that crazy. You knew what you were doing. You were going to the store. You were getting away from the scene. They're going to argue he wasn't that crazy and is using the schizophrenia thing too much. Because this story is far from.